So what made you decide to study Ayurveda when you decided to be a healer?
So I started doing yoga when I was 13 in my mom's basement, using Yoga for Dummies on VHS. And yeah, true story. That's also the year I became vegetarian, age 13. It was a big year for me. And I recommitted, I went through some hard years in adolescence, and then I really recommitted myself to a deeper dedication to a yoga practice when I was in my early 20s, age 20, 21. I was at the time actually working as a barista, and I was doing a work study trade at a local yoga studio because I wanted to get back into yoga, but I couldn't afford it. So I was working, cleaning, and getting free yoga classes. And when I was cleaning one night, I found this big binder. They were doing some Ayurvedic cleanse, and I just started reading it, and things started clicking into place. It just like made sense to me. It just stuck. There was something about it that seemed even though the language was very different, it seemed very accessible in terms of it just made sense. It was very logical. And it was very formulaic, and I could apply it to myself, and I noticed benefits right away. And then I found this little book. I always forget the name of it, but it's I think it's the science of, or Ayurveda, the science of self-healing, I believe, or the art of self-healing. It's by Vasant Lad. It's just this tiny little book. I found it for a few bucks, ordered it. And again, it was just very broadly speaking about Ayurveda, but it really clicked for me. I liked the concept of me being my own self healer and not having to rely on somebody else to tell me what to do. And essentially, when I went back to school, I had this kind of flash aha moment that I wanted to figure out how to become a natural healer. That's a story in and of itself, but I knew that I wanted to somehow bring Ayurveda and yoga more broadly into the culture. But I also knew that I wanted or needed some sort of medical degree to support that in order to really be able to work within modern medicine. So I ended up switching my majors to pre-med, and again, this Sanskrit and Indian culture, essentially. It was called Languages and Cultures of Asia, but it was about Southeast Asian culture. Plus, I did the language track with Sanskrit, and pre-med, and just hammered out my majors and got through it. A big part of me, like why I was drawn to yoga in the first place, is of course it's sort of spiritual orientation and the idea of karma, the idea of dharma, all of these different sort of tenets within the Vedic or Sankhya philosophy that resonated with me, like on a personal level. Again, it just made sense. It clicked with me. So that was more of like the deeper or more emotional pull toward it. But again, also wanting to bring genuine healing to people and wanting to help people build their own inner sense of empowerment or confidence to master the art of their own self-healing, teaching people how to reconnect to themselves and to pay attention to certain subtleties. Because again, when something's subtly low grade out of balance, it's so much easier to get into balance than once, you're really, really sick. And so helping to guide people to be their own internal healer, I think, and be empowered in that way, was also a big part of that for me. And the focus on mind-body medicine, that's always been a passion of mine, because the mind is not separate from the body. Mental health is not separate from physical suffering, and vice versa. And I think that they both need to be equally prioritized, and they need to work together. So I always knew from the time I knew I wanted to go into natural healing that Ayurveda would be part of it. But then it was, how do I get a different degree that can help me practice within conventional medicine as well?